Mama I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there osia dem yopo.
Excellency John Dramani Mahama, you may now graciously address the NDC gathering. God bless us all, and may God see him through to be president of our republic on January 5.
Today on the shock, our nation deplorable condition. Ghanaian, how did we get to this point? Wait, doesn't Ghana belong to all of us and not some few individuals?
You just read my mind.
Must someone come and spoil all that has been built for over 60 years and we still need to build it again? It's all because of the future of our children and their children, building the Ghana we all want together.
Thank you very much. I wish to begin by thanking the Almighty God for the blessings and favor He has continued to shower on me throughout my entire political career. And I'm guided by the quotation from Romans 8:31. And it says, "What then shall we do? What then shall we say about these things?" And it concludes, "If God be for us, who can be against us?" I want to start by acknowledging the chairman and members of Council of Elders of our great party, to recognize our national chairman, Ketia, our general secretary, Fifiavi Kwete, and the entire National Executive Committee of our party. I also acknowledge with gratitude my former chairman, Honorable Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, my running mate in the 2020 elections, Honorable Nana Jane Opoku-Agyemang, our regional chairmen and regional executives, and all our constituency executives, and especially our kingmakers, the branch executives, supporters and sympathizers of the NDC. And also to recognize our revered traditional leaders. Even though some names were mentioned, out of respect, I will just mention a few of them again. And we have Nayab Kugana, Nayab Tolona, my uncle, Nayab Kosulana, who's chairman of our Council of Elders and has done a yeoman's job and uniting the party here in Northern Region. Nayab Nyankpalana, who was recently installed, I wish to congratulate him. Nayab Warbogulana, and my good friend and elder brother from long ago, Nayab Lamashena, Nayab Chogo Na, and the Dakwema of Tamale. I wish to acknowledge all of them. I also wish to acknowledge our minority leader, Honorable Ato Forsen, and to also acknowledge our host and my younger brother, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, and all our members of parliament who have taken time to be with us today, and my fellow countrymen and women, the general viewing and listening public. I want to say thank you very much. I must add very quickly how happy I am to be speaking here at the University for Development Studies, the UDS in Tamale, having earlier launched my campaign at the University for Health and Allied Sciences in Ho, in the Volta region, two universities established by our great political tradition, the NDC. Yesterday, Sunday, 14th May, was Mother's Day. Let me use this opportunity to extend my Mother's Day appreciation to my wife, Lodina Mahama, and all Ghanaian women, fellow Akatamansonians, with profound gratitude. I humbly accept to be the presidential candidate of the National Democratic Congress. I dedicate this victory to the founder of our party, Jerry John Rawlings, to my late boss and mentor, Professor John Evans Atamils, to my former Vice President, Kwesi Bekwin Emisarata, and the many hundreds of our senior comrades who labored to build this political tradition that we have the privilege of leading today. And thank you for your vote of confidence and for your unshaken conviction that I am the most suitable person with the experience and vision to lead our party, the NDC, to victory in 2024. We must win the election to enable us build the Ghana we want together. I pledge to lead you to a resounding victory come December 2024. Let me, on your behalf and on my own behalf, acknowledge the contribution of Dr. Kwabena Dufo, former mayor of Kumasi, Kojo Bonsu, and Mr. Ernest Kobia, for what they have done towards enhancing the internal democratic systems of our party. I also wish to thank the staff of the Electoral Commission for their support in making our parliamentary and presidential primaries a resounding success. My special thanks go to Mr. Srebo Kweku and his district election directors for working over and above the call of duty to ensure a successful election. To you, the kingmakers of the NDC, I say thank you for electing me with as resounding 297,603 votes, which constitutes 98.9% of the total valid votes cast. This margin of victory is deafening and emphatic and resounding, and it is indicative of the unwavering singular intent of the NDC to win the 2024 election. As I crisscrossed the length and breadth of this country, clocking about 13,000 kilometers, I was reminded at every stage of the journey of the enormity of the job that is ahead of us. I accept this onerous responsibility placed on my shoulders with absolute humility and a deep sense of respect for the tough tasks that lie ahead in resetting our beloved nation Ghana to one that allows us to regain our lost glory. Ours is a nation that led the decolonization process in Africa, a nation held up as the model of democracy and governance in Africa, a nation of prudence in the management of its economy and resources. This victory is not about me, John Dramani Mahama. It is about our people and the creation of a society that allows our citizens to live a decent and dignified life. It is about expanding access to health care so that our mothers and sisters will not lose their lives carrying out their biological duty of procreation. It is about the little children whose promising future is cut short because of a dangerous boat crossing in search of an education. It is also about managing our economy and finances in a manner that does not require us to appropriate the lifetime investments of our retired senior citizens and the middle class. This victory is about raising security and investments and funds for future generations, and not just for spending in a day. It is about restoring trust once again in our institutions and engendering love and pride in the name Ghana. But first, we must win the elections in 2024. And that will require from all of us hard work and winning the trust of the people of Ghana. The NDC and Ghana's interests must therefore continue to guide and bind us all together as one people from one great family. From today, right here in the hall of the University of Development Studies, I declare that the internal competition for the flag bearership position is over. You have chosen experience with vision over experiment, and I'm confident that in December 2024, Ghanaians will make that choice that puts us back on the path of building the Ghana we want together. We must flip the coin from competition to cooperation. We need cooperation to build a better Ghana and a better NDC. I'm therefore calling for cooperation among all elected parliamentary candidates and your aspirants and supporters. Incumbent members of parliament who lost their primaries must also keep their heads up. You remain heroes for the good job you have done and continue to do. We need your experience and talents for the onerous job that faces us when the good people of Ghana give us a mandate to steer the affairs of this country once more. Above all, we need you in the remaining 1.5 years of your parliamentary mandate to carry out your duties in Parliament with dedication and commitment to safeguard the interests of the Ghanaian people. And I wish to assure you that I intend to meet with these MPs at the earliest possible opportunity. I wish to assure you that you are still assets of the party, and we shall make use of the talents and experience that you have garnered. The party needs you and will continue to rely on you as we seek to win election 2024 and change the destiny of the suffering people of Ghana. We must remain one solid family. Let me emphasize and urge all of us as members of the NDC to rededicate ourselves, commit our energies and resources to work hard to win 2024. I assure you of my open-mindedness, my open door policy, and my commitment to run a government that will be based on merit and competence. Let me reaffirm my unshaken commitment to offer the needed support to our parliamentary candidates and all constituencies to make certain that we secure a healthy majority in the next parliament. What this means for our party is that we must conclude the outstanding parliamentary elections as soon as possible so that we can focus our resources on the campaign for the upcoming national elections. I assure you that together with the national chairman, the general secretary and other executives, we will plan and campaign very vigorously with clear objectives and strategic outcomes. We owe it as a duty to our country to do so, and we shall. On this note, as I dissolve my innovative, hard-working and successful campaign coordinating team led by Professor Joshua Alabi, I wish to thank the team, my staff, my security, the media, the NDC regional chairman, regional and constituency campaign teams, and of course my wife Lordina, my children, and my siblings, some of whom are here. Stand up, let them see you. Thank you. Thank you. And my siblings, and all others who are on this journey with me. I can never repay you for your generosity, dedication, and love for me and for our country, Ghana. Let's hold on to hope. Ladies and gentlemen, we must urgently commence building the Ghana we want together, because our dear nation Ghana is sailing through perilous seas. Our socio-economic foundation as a nation has in the last few years not only been threatened, but has been fractured and dislocated. Corruption and the raid on the public purse have come to a crescendo. The rights of citizens, including journalists, no longer matter to this government. In the last 2 years, Ghana has dropped on the Press Freedom Index. Our national health insurance scheme is comatose. The scheme is starved of funds by the government capping policy and the refusal to release proceeds of the National Health Insurance Levy to the National Health Insurance Authority. Patients are faced with an empty scheme that only ensures retrieval of their medical folders and consultation. Even basic drugs such as analgesics, cough mixtures and antibiotics must be purchased by patients themselves from the drugstores. For the first time in our history, retirees and the middle class are facing the existential threat to their survival and financial stability due to gross mismanagement of our economy by a grossly inept finance minister and economic management team. For the first time in known memory, newborn babies are unable to access the full complement of their childhood vaccines. Yet these newborns and the younger generation also face the heavy burden of inheriting a suffocating national debt which stands at almost 600 billion Ghana cedis, the equivalent of over 100% of our GDP. Only a fortnight ago, the government recalled members of parliament, and the main purpose for this recall was to approve a further $710 million, more debt to compound the already choking national debt. Ladies and gentlemen, the lack of vision and prospects by government is patently discomforting. And that is why we have no option but to win election 2024. This is to reset our country on a path of transformation for progress and prosperity. I come to you, the good people of Ghana, and I say there's hope for our country. That hope will emanate from our very selves as a resilient nation, a people with a passionate appetite for progress and prosperity, a people capable of rising from the ashes of catastrophe like a phoenix to build a stronger and smarter nation to serve our needs and wants. This hope also springs from a leadership that is willing to accept responsibility and fix the problems rather than pass the buck. A leadership that is honest and does not lie to its people. A leadership that is consultative and willing to build a consensus in solving the challenges that confront Ghanaians in their daily lives. I have an unshakable conviction. I believe and I know Ghana shall rise again. My vision for our beloved Ghana aligns with your expectations for a better Ghana, one that we're going to build together. Beyond my vision, ladies and gentlemen, our Constitution also gives us hope. It creates the foundation for our fourth Republican democracy, a democratic dispensation that is still the best form of government and which we must guard and protect. Because however abysmal and appalling the performance of a government is, the people have an opportunity to make a change at the next election. Clearly, the Akufo-Addo and Bawumia NPP administration has failed to meet the expectations of the Ghanaian people, and they must prepare to bow out at the next election. And they must start preparing their handing over notes and get ready to account to the people of Ghana for their stewardship. Yes, there is hope for our country. I firmly believe in our collective ability as a party to lead a transformation agenda that restores decent values, revives youthful aspirations and ambitions. Ours will be a progressive government that provides equal opportunities for decent and sustainable livelihoods. I'm convinced that by working together with Ghanaians, we shall turn Ghana's hopelessness and gloom today into a better and brighter tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, let me dwell a bit on the destructive elephant in the room, which is the economy. Literally and figuratively, the government's economic management team has displayed grave incompetence, mismanaged Ghana's economy, and inflicted severe hardships on Ghanaians, including the elderly and the young. Ghanaians now know the address of the so-called solid economic management team, in quotes. The chairman and members of this economic management team have become the butt of jokes in people's homes, in the marketplaces, in restaurants, on social media, and on the airwaves because of their misguided commentaries both in opposition and government. As a leader, your word should always be truthful. It should be sincere and honest. It should count for something. If you are not truthful, you lose the trust of the people. Prices of goods and services continue to see extreme increases with devastating effects on the livelihood of Ghanaians. The price trends reflect the inflationary increase from 15.4% in December 2016 to over 40% presently. Unfortunately, as inflation rises, employment has not improved but has worsened. The growth rate of the agricultural sector, which was 2.7% in 2016, despite all the sloganeering, was a paltry 0.7% in 2022. The manufacturing sector, which stood at 7.9% in 2016, dipped to 4.5% in 2022. And the construction sector has gone down from 8.4% in 2016 to 4.2% in 2022. Sometimes, when I read about these terrible economic trends coupled with credit rating agencies downgrading Ghana, I ask, what has happened to the unprecedented resources that have accrued to the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government since 2017? No government in our Fourth Republic has had the sheer amount of resources that have been made available to this particular government. And yet they have been unrelenting in hiding the truth. The fact, however, remains that by March 2020, the pre-COVID era in Ghana, the national debt had already increased by 100 billion within 3 short years. And this shows a steep rise from the 120 billion in 2016 to 225 billion in 2019. Indeed, the budget deficit of 7.5% recorded in 2018 had at that time exceeded the legally accepted threshold of 5%. Ladies and gentlemen, The combined effect of the critical economic indices before COVID-19 and after COVID-19 points to one truth. The immutable truth is that the NPP has blatantly mismanaged the economy of this country. And we cannot allow them to continue holding Ghana's progress in reverse gear. Ghana is not for a few people alone. Ghana is for all of us and generations yet unborn. As I said, we must rise like the phoenix, rising from the ashes, renew, reform, and liberate ourselves from this misrule on December 7th, 2024. And this is why I'm running for president in 2024. And this is why you voted massively for me on Saturday, May 13th, 2024. I've proposed a raft of measures and referred the government to our NDC 2020 manifesto for policy alternatives. These measures still apply today because we are neck deep in an economic crisis. The first thing, government must take responsibility for this messy economy arising from its reckless borrowing and mismanagement of the country. This is going to be one of the immediate actions of my government, God willing, when voted into office. I'll lead a process to set a standardized limit for public borrowing. Government has refused to cut expenditure by reducing the size of government and adjusting the compensation and allowances of appointees and profligate expenditure. The president is rather appointing more people and continuing to recklessly overspend. Only recently, he appointed a CEO for mortuaries and funerals. John Mahama and NDC government will respond to the concerns of the Ghanaian people proactively and drastically cut down on the number of ministers and other government appointees. There will be no room for wasting the taxpayers' money on the comfort of government officials. The NDC will reconsider the tax exemption regime, ensuring that any exemptions that are given are beneficial to the Ghanaian people. We'll further ensure that the extractive sector operates within a mutually beneficial tax environment for the stability of our exchange rate. We'll seek to make Ghana benefit more from its finite natural resources, and will encourage indigenously owned Ghanaian businesses that have the technology and capacity to operate their own productive mining concessions by themselves to do so. We have done it before, and we will do it again. Together with my team, we will enhance investor confidence in our country to attract credible domestic and foreign investors, especially in the manufacturing and light industry sector. This we will do by being transparent and not concealing economic data, such as the budget deficit, public debt, and our net international reserve. Even as we await the board of the International Monetary Fund's approval for Ghana's requested bailout by the end of May or June this year, we expect that the finance minister will urgently present a mid-year review budget to Parliament, which would include any agreements they might have reached with the fund, and also one that critically cuts down government expenditure. The 2023 budget and financial statement presented to Parliament last November currently is riding on stilts with no stability. And this is why I insist government must immediately, upon approval of Ghana's program by the fund, review the 2023 budget to reflect the realities of our economic situation today. My fellow Akatamonsonians, fellow countrymen and women, unemployment is a national security crisis today. Unemployment is at its highest level in the history of Ghana. And what must be done to help in ameliorating the challenge has not been done. From January 2025, the next NDC administration We'll work to transform our economy, diversify our exports, ensure value addition to our production to create more jobs. Agriculture and agribusiness shall be one of the key anchors of our economic transformation plan. We will launch a program akin to the Operation Feed Yourself and Feed Your Industries program of the early 1970s. This is geared to make Ghana self-sufficient in basic staples and curb unnecessary imports. We will seek to make indigenous entrepreneurs capture, in quotes, the commanding heights of the Ghanaian economy. In our previous stint in government, we sought to achieve this by strategically prioritizing the Tamale irrigation project, rehabilitating the Via and Tono irrigation projects, all in the Upper East region. We supported the Avnash rice processing factory here in Yankpala in the northern region. We provided fish storage facilities along the entire coastline of Ghana, and we prepared the Commander Sugar Factory for takeoff in the central region, amongst others. In the non-agricultural sector, the Wakang ceramic factory, which came alive in the western region, and the Savannah cement factory are but a few of the examples of employment opportunities we created when we were in office. And remember, we also injected 51 million Ghana cedis into the pharmaceutical sector for expansion and job creation. And our foresight became a windfall when COVID-19 struck our shores. Let me restate what I said in Ho during the launch of my campaign for flag bearer. I said we shall promote robust local participation in our banking and financial, telecommunications, tourism, mining, agribusiness, and manufacturing sectors to grow our economy and create sustainable employment for our youth. We will restore indigenous Ghanaian investment in the financing and banking sector. And we will create a tiered banking system that will serve various segments of the market. We will give the opportunity for experienced banking hands who were laid off and needlessly to secure their careers once more and move away from the menial jobs that they were compelled to take. As far as practicable, the banking licenses that were unjustly cancelled by this government will be restored. Ladies and gentlemen, our nation is still at the crossroads with crippling debts and an inefficient and wasteful government. We cannot continue this pathway. It is a betrayal of our people as a leader to keep doing things the same way when the results leave them poorer. I am committed to operating an effective government with no more than 60 ministers. These ministers, together with other appointees of the government, will not be entitled to ex gratia payments after their tenure. As I will make them commit to that undertaking even before the necessary constitutional amendments, including a review of the controversial Article 71, is carried out. I share the view that Ghanaians in the diaspora must no longer have to renounce their foreign citizenship before they can stand for elections or hold public office in Ghana. I personally believe that most of them make up for their absence with the remittances that they send. And definitely if conditions improve, a lot of them will return home to work here in Ghana. In fact, some Ghanaians in the diaspora have proven to be extremely beneficial to our country. Take for instance Professor Frimpong Boateng of the Cardiothoracic Center, fame, who returned from Germany to establish the Cardio Center and has saved. Since the professor's return, he has contributed his significant bit in medicine and in politics. And only recently, an Al Jazeera documentary accusing President Akufo-Addo and his government of organized crime in collusion with a foreigner It also emerged that the heart surgeon had 2 years ago boldly exposed the duplicity of the MPP government in the fight against Galamsey. His report has opened a can of worms, which I know this president, in his usual manner, will sweep under the carpet, just as many corruption scandals have been cleared by who is called the clearing agent. We shall pursue this matter further and make sure that justice is done. The truth is that this government cannot just wish away the reality that Ghana is not looking good on the Corruption Perception Index of Transparency International. The president no longer makes corruption a pet topic in any of his speeches because corruption has defeated him hands down. The government's baited to suppressing press freedoms and an inordinate clampdown of civil activists, including even members of parliament who dare to expose corruption. And let me assure you, as I stated in Garou in the Upper East during my campaign tour, that I will adopt a robust root and branch approach to fighting corruption. Because corruption is a major source through which state resources are lost. It will not matter whether people in the corruption are our own people or from some other party. We will continue the constitution review process commenced by President John Evans Atam's of blessed memory, and we will carry it to its logical conclusion. This will help to plug the loopholes and clarify some clauses in our constitution and make it responsive to our current reality. My fellow Tamansonians, Ayezu, Ayeza, Ehejo, MFA, hey, thank you. I began by thanking you, my party delegates, for voting massively for me on Saturday. And I promise that I'll fulfill every promise I made to you during my visits to your constituencies. All the promises I made in the 16 regions of Ghana between March and 12 May 2023, I intend to fulfill. I'll be working with the national chairman, the general secretary, and the leadership of our party to build a formidable National Democratic Congress, one that every Ghanaian will be proud to associate with. And Ghanaians should keep in mind that the NDC has provided the most impactful socio-economic and development projects across the length and breadth of this country. I make a firm promise to ensure that our 2024 campaign is fully decentralized by empowering our branches to lead the voter mobilization and voting day canvassing. And they will be supported by the constituency and regional executives, and of course by national and the flag bearer. Empowering the branches and motivating them and ensuring that we deploy the needed material and logistics, I remain convinced will help our campaigning and canvassing in 2024. We must all embrace and support an equitable distribution of party logistics to the branches, because this will strengthen the branches and encourage competition, even as we plan to reward each branch adequately for meeting the targets that we're going to set them in 2024. In the next few months, we'll begin redeeming our promise to help constituencies that currently do not own their own offices to acquire offices. And we'll commence the organization of periodic orientation and training programs by our party school for all our executives. Ladies and gentlemen, and the millions following us from Ghana and across the world, as I conclude before I take my seat, I want to reiterate some of the other commitments I made to the people of Ghana. on the campaign tour. I want you to remember them so that you can hold me accountable when I come into office. I'll keep these promises when I assume office on January 7th, 2025, God willing. We will restore stability and inclusive growth in the economy, and we shall rejuvenate the almost collapsed banks and the financial sector. And this will involve sweeping reforms at the Bank of Ghana, because the central bank itself has been a part of creating this problem. I'll create the foundation that will ensure that Ghana will never suffer such a deadly debt management program that threatens to send our elderly people holding government bonds to an early grave and wipe out the investments of the Ghanaian middle class. I'll prioritize local participation in the banking, financial, telecoms, mining, oil and gas, agriculture, manufacturing and construction sectors to generate more jobs for our youth. The Ghanaian young men and women we interact with on a daily basis and their colleagues in other African countries are simply tired of the jobless GDP figures. We will actively attract viable and serious private sector investors to partner government to invest in the productive sectors of this country for more jobs to be created. I will advocate strongly the return of investors who have left because of the poor management of this economy by NPP. This will involve an emphasis on agriculture and agribusiness, and will have a strong focus on making Ghanaians own their own micro enterprises. I'll complete abandoned and ongoing projects instead of rushing to start new ones. We will carry out an inventory of all hospitals, schools, electrification, water and road projects which have stalled or been abandoned, and we will make an annual budgetary allocation for their completion. Beyond the economic front, we will also be very strong on governance, because transparent and accountable governance at all levels remains an assured fuel that fires the socio-economic transformation of successful nations. In that regard, we will establish a governance advisory council to help improve political governance, curb corruption, and ensure the respect of human rights. This council will include representatives of civil society organizations, religious leaders, traditional leaders, and ordinary Ghanaians. And amongst others, they will be empowered to release a State of Governance in Ghana report every year. This report will guide governments in fine-tuning our good governance record. And as I said already, I'll run the leaders but most efficient government under the Fourth Republic by appointing not more than 60 ministers and deputy ministers. And I said already, I'll work to abolish the payment of ex gratia and cut out waste and ostentation in government. We shall work with Parliament and all stakeholders to complete the Constitution review process and strengthen the separation of powers. Government procurement is recognized as a major source of corruption and misappropriation of public funds. We will therefore, among other measures, set up an independent value for money office to scrutinize all government procurements that are above a $5 million threshold, or as shall be recommended by Parliament. I will give anti-corruption state institutions unfettered space to operate. The days of the clearing agents must come to an end on January 7, 2025. I'll also set up a commission of inquiry to investigate the matter of looted and stolen state lands. And the same commission will make recommendations for resolving the vexed issue of expropriated Gardangbe lands. And to deepen our democracy, the fourth estate of the realm, the media must also be given a conducive and collaborative atmosphere to operate as the fourth power that they ought to be without threats, harassment, and assassinations. In this regard, we shall speed up the investigation of the assassination of Ahmed Swale. And the perpetrators shall surely be brought to book. We are starting off in earnest, and I'll be outlining other policies and strategies in the course of the 2024 campaign and also in our 2024 manifesto conversations. Let me emphasize that Ghana is in this severe and acute financial distress with suffocating levels of unemployment due to the reckless mismanagement of the economy by the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. But there is hope, and that hope can be fast-tracked if we choose vision with experience over try me and experiment, especially at this crucial time in our nation's life. The NDC delegates have shown the way by electing me with a definite 98.9%, or in mathematical terms, you always adjust to the nearest number. And so 98.9% is 99%. And this is indicative of their elevated faith and conviction in my ability to provide honest, visionary, and responsible leadership. They did so not only based on our solid record of achievements, but also on the concrete, sincere assurances I've given to transform our cherished country, Ghana, by building the Ghana we want together. That transformation will demand your cooperation, and that cooperation begins from today. In building the Ghana we want together, we will need you, every Ghanaian, including the disappointed NPP members. Including the disappointed NPP members who are appalled by the arrogance, untruthfulness, mismanagement, corruption, and nepotism of their own government. I invite all such persons to join us in this rebuilding mission. We will also need you, every Ghanaian who wants to have a project or program in agriculture, including horticulture, aquaculture, small businesses, manufacturing, construction services, extractive industry, but has been impeded by the illicit demands of officials of this government. The next NDC government is your home. We will need you, every Ghanaian who believes that merit must be recognized and compensated, and not favoritism taking the center stage. And we'll need you if you genuinely believe we have had enough of the incompetence and mismanagement of this government over the last 6.5 years. Enough is indeed enough. Ghanaians have suffered enough hardship and misrule from this bungling and rapacious Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration. Let us complete the task we have started by campaigning day and night for your humble servant, John Dramani Mahama. And also campaign for all our parliamentary candidates elected across the country. My brothers and sisters, I urge you to campaign vigorously in every corner of the country, on radio, on television, on Facebook, on WhatsApp, on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram. And even in your private conversations. NDC members, our sympathizers, our supporters, I make you this promise. For all those who will vote for NDC, I promise you, we shall protect your vote. Your votes will not only be counted, but your votes will count in making a change in our country, Ghana. Your vote will propel the NDC into office. And with a team led by me, by the grace of God, we are ready and willing with the vision and experience to build the Ghana we want together with you. Ladies and gentlemen, victory will not only be for NDC, it will be for the whole nation Ghana in December 2024. And when this victory comes, there shall be work and happiness for all Ghanaians. I thank you, and God bless us all, and God bless our homeland Ghana. Thank you.
Development our God, from vision to vision, the NDC shall lead. Stable democrat, Ghana, our strength in unity. From vision to vision, the NDC shall lead. Stable democrat, Ghana, our strength in unity. Victory! Victory! It's our land. Victory! It's our land. JJ is a winner. Arise for Ghana, of the truck of the land. When and secure future, development our goal. From vision to victory, the NDC shall lead. Stable democrat, Ghana, our strength in unity. From vision to victory, the NDC shall lead. Stable democrat, Ghana, our strength in unity. From vision to victory, the NDC shall lead. Stable democrat, Ghana, our strength in unity.
The victory of Mahama. The victory of Mahama.
Mame fana asema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo